A new suspect in the Charlie Kirk shooting has been exposed, and it's a girl, or is it? More on this potential accomplice and breaking news that has swept the internet overnight. I'll explain the real truth behind that and more. So let's get started. So, gonna show you some footage here in just a second, real quick to set up the footage. Candace Owens is saying a woman who is somewhat of a relative, cousin, aunt, or whatever of this very financially established family or just man who owns a lot of the property and owns the property that ultimately the Utah college where Charlie Kirk was shot ended up buying a big plot of that land. And so he's still very well connected and things like that, blah, blah, blah. There is Ring doorbell footage of Tyler Robinson appearing in front of this house still owned by this family, changing clothes. And apparently in this footage, there is a girl, a woman, I don't know, with him, and she gives him something. And I'll show you the video where this is being talked about and where this stems from. Apparently, this full footage was given to the FBI, which chose to cut that part out. The big question is, why? Again, you know me, I'm not one for conspiracy theories. I know that there's a lot throughout the history of the United States that have been ultimately proven to be true. So I'm not someone who's like never believes in conspiracy theories. I just think people, after 8 days, if you're calling Erica Kirk Satan herself for taking over Charlie Kirk's business and not just ripping her hair out on camera on his YouTube channel, because of that, you think she is the one who had him assassinated? I think that's a bit ridiculous. But, all in all, I don't jump onto conspiracy theories too hard, but this is compelling stuff. And apparently the woman says that there's a girl who appeared on camera, and we're going to talk about that. And then we'll move on to other things. But here's the footage.
Incredible breaking news. We have now confirmed that there was indeed a woman who was with the shooter in the footage that was captured by the houses nearby the area. And for whatever reason, the FBI has not yet released or even acknowledged that that footage exists. This is absolutely huge, actually. I think this is the biggest thing that we have uncovered since the beginning of this investigation. Right in the beginning, his aunt is going to mention that there was a woman who was helping the shooter, and she's not sure whether or not that person was an accomplice. I would say if you're helping the shooter, you were an accomplice, but somehow we all missed this in this actual clip that Shaner had posted and has since been wiped from the internet. Take a listen.
If you time how long it took him to get from that little part over to here, was way longer than it should have been. So I wondered if the girl had given him stuff, like if there is an accomplice. Sorry, you're filming.
And it said right here, that picture from Sam's across the street, he was right here.
So you see, she's talking about the shooter, and she says, I was wondering if the girl had given him stuff. And then somebody off camera says, you're filming. And she says, I'm sorry that you're filming, but it's very clear. There's no question at all. In fact, leading into that, which we should have maybe cut that a little bit earlier, they're speaking about how she thought the FBI had it wrong. The timing didn't make sense to her. And that's what she's starting with. But the timing doesn't make sense to me because I thought that it took a little longer for him to walk. Let's play that again, Skylar, just so they can hear it again. She says that there's a girl. Take a listen.
If you time how long it took him to get from that little part over to here, was way longer than it should have been. So I wondered if the girl had given him stuff, like if there is an accomplice. Sorry, you're filming.
And it said right here, that picture from Sam's across the street, he was right here.
Sorry for the wardrobe change. I had just finished working out and started on the video, and I had, I was tired of being sweaty and trying to make this video. So I took a shower. So here I am, new clothes. Anyways, about the footage we just watched, here's my thoughts, if I may, if you care. Yes, I agree This video footage and the comments made and who they're made by, I believe, are compelling. They are compelling. But there are too many variables that still come along, even with everything said by these people in this video, for you to interpret that as the way that you are. And you could be right, Candace Owens. You could be right. I will say she is much more of a hard-hitting journalist than I am, you know. She's got way more experience than me. Hats off to her. And I like a lot of stuff that she does. And she may be right. All I'm saying is, I've seen a lot too. I've been in a lot of places with a lot of people that she hasn't. I've been in a lot of scenarios where a lot of speculation has to be done. A lot of deducing and process of elimination and filtering possibilities and impossibilities out of the equation has to be done, which is prison. If this woman says, I think the FBI has it wrong because Tyler Robinson, the time it should have taken him to get from point A to point B through the woods, it took a little longer than it should have, then what is the constant here? What is the baseline? Him walking at a fixed pace with no interruptions constantly from point A to point B. A little longer? How much longer? A minute? 10 minutes? An hour? 3 days? I mean, what are we talking here? How much longer? And depending on how much longer, I think there's a good bit of possibilities that could explain why it took longer. Allegedly, possibly. Again, I may not be right. I'm just throwing this out there. Assuming he just shot someone in the head, right? And maybe reality didn't really set in for him before what he was about to do and the magnitude it would have around the world. But then right after he did it, he more and more by the seconds realizes, oh crap, what have I done? Not that he feels bad, but just, what have I done to ruin my own life? Maybe he didn't even care about what he did to Charlie and all those affected. What have I done to myself, right? If he's walking through the woods and it takes him longer to get from point A to point B, a little longer, as she says, than what it should take of a person on a constant hike, a constant speed, a constant stride, by what, a few minutes, 20 minutes, let's say? I feel like an hour or two, would she be like, that took way longer than it should. So can we say about 15, 20 minutes? How do we know Tyler didn't stop by a tree and freaking throw up? How do we know Tyler didn't stop by a tree and pull his pants down and take a dump because he was that scared crapless, if you know what I mean? Again, not saying he would, it's not like he suddenly cared what he did and who he, to who he did it to. It's just, oh my gosh, what have I done? I'm in big trouble. Oh, trust me, I know. I've done awful things in my teenage years and realized I'm in big trouble. The heat is on me. They're closing in. They're looking for me, and it scares you. It's scary. For the most selfish reasons, it is scary. Yeah, maybe he hid behind a tree, checked his phone. Let me see what the internet's saying. I want to get on Google and see if there's any articles from 2 minutes ago. See if they have any leads. What do they got out there? I mean, you don't know what this guy did. You can't predict or decipher unless it comes out of his own mouth as a full-fledged confession of guilt. You don't know what this guy did. If he sat behind a tree for 10 minutes, checked his phone, checked Twitter, checked YouTube, checked the news stations, checked Google, checked the articles, Are they posting about this? How serious is this? Oh man, and probably saw, oh my gosh, this is immediately blowing up. This video is already all over the place. Millions of people are seeing it online within 20 minutes. What are the comments saying? Is anyone putting my name out there? The paranoia. You don't know what this guy was doing, probably behind a freaking big oak tree for 15 minutes. Did it take him a little longer? Now, if you would have said he got from point A to point B much faster than he should have, okay. Now we're like, is this guy a track athlete? Like, how did he get here so fast? Now, there's something that doesn't add up, and there's not many variables to explain it away. You're suggesting theories that are easily explained away by the fact that he's a criminal. If we accept the idea that he's a criminal and a murderer who just shot someone in the head, a very influential person, and this is making noise around the world immediately, within minutes of it happening. And this is ultimately an amateur who has never done this before. Yeah, he's going to check. He's paranoid. Are they on to me? Do they know? Did anyone see me? Did they get video of me? Is there anything on the internet? Let me check online. Let me check on Twitter. Let me check on Reddit. What? Yeah, I bet it did take him a long time. He's probably or even hopping from tree to tree. Is there anyone out here? Is there a popular nature trail that goes through there? Is there or isn't there? Don't know. Is this just a woman walking a trail? Is this a normal area of wooded area that people walk or go through, where he might randomly come across a woman or man or anyone, but just happened to come across a woman, and maybe she saw he was in distress and offered him water? I don't know. What did she give him? Who is this woman? By the way, watching this back editing, I decided to look something up, so I'm interjecting here to tell you something. I'd like to read you what I found. The UVU, that is the university that this all happened at with Charlie Kirk. The UVU Nature Trail, that's an official title, official name for this nature trail, refers to an educational plant walk developed by Utah Valley University students and the city of Vineyard along the Utah Lake shoreline. This initiative focuses on promoting conservation, ecosystem understanding, and biodiversity by removing invasive plants and restoring native vegetation. This is called an educational plant walk. This is by UVU, Utah Valley University. Are these the woods you're talking about where he casually ran into some woman who offered him help? Guess what? I have friends who are very much into nature trails, nature walks, mountain hikes, hiking forests, all types of things, very outdoorsy. I'm not. I'm scared of bugs. I'm afraid of spiders deathly. So I don't do it, but I have a lot of friends who are. Do you know this is like common etiquette? When you cross someone on a path or in the woods of these nature trails, walks, mountains, hiking zones, you stop and you talk to them. Not always, you just walk by, but if you see this, the slightest sign of distress, you talk to them. Do you need anything? I got my backpack here. I got extra water. I got a granola bar. Do you need, are you okay? I imagine Tyler Robinson probably didn't look okay when someone crossed his path, and it was probably a woman. This is just, and again, this is a theory. But this is just one of many common sense variables other than, oh yeah, Agent Emily McGee met Tyler Robinson in the woods to exchange firearms and just, whatever. I mean, what are we talking about? She took a piece of sandpaper and scrubbed his fingerprints off his hand. I mean, what dude. Anyways, let's continue. I agree with that. Who is this woman? We should have more detail about this woman, especially if she was caught on Ring camera. Who is this woman? I agree with that. Maybe she was 101% in on the plan and totally in on it and just like fully functioning as a active participant in the grand scheme to eliminate Charlie Kirk and playing her part after the fact. Maybe it was just a lady out there getting her exercise and saw some young kid looking very distressed. Like, are you okay? Did someone try to attack you in these woods? You need some water? You want a cigarette? You need a Zen? Like, what do you need? You good? What did she give him? We don't know any of this. And so for you to say, oh, this is an accomplice. I mean, I see where you're coming from. I hear you. And it could be, but it could also, there are so many reasons why it could not be. On top of that, if we, let me join you in jumping way deep into the conspiracy world, right, Candace? Let me join you right there at that table. You're worried about a woman, and we see a woman handing things off to him, and a woman who was some accomplice, and a woman who played some part in this. It's a woman. Are we sure it wasn't the transgender roommate / lover? Maybe they fixed themselves and dolled themselves up enough to wear a grainy, low-quality image Ring doorbell video. Anyone who watched it would perceive that as you're basically as a woman. Do we know this wasn't the transgender Lance Twiggs, who is now being hidden by the government because they are cooperating with them? Maybe that's part of what they're cooperating on and giving them all that information. Here's something y'all need to remember. Not y'all, the viewers, y'all, the conspiracy theorists. I'm not getting on to y'all. But also, keep this in mind too, everyone, please. But mainly the creators out there putting these theories out. And again, I'm not 100% against these. I get it. I get these things happen. I'm open-minded to it. But just remember, law enforcement, their priority is not to please and satisfy the internet and release all the stuff they have. Are you familiar with the fact that a lot of times law enforcement, they go to a crime scene and they find certain things and certain evidence and certain clues and certain details, and they choose purposely to withhold that from the press release to not clue the killer in on what they know? They'll give you something to where the public can assist in identifying someone, but they're not going to give you certain clues because that will come into play later when they do the interrogation or other things. And maybe this killer slips up and admits, we've seen it time and time again. I promise you there's many examples. They admit something that only the killer would know. But if they released all of this to the public on the news, well, everybody knows this. And so there's no way of, if the real killer slips, says something or references that, then you can't say only the killer and us, the detectives, would know this. That's a common strategy and a very effective one. And that's not even the main reason why, they're doing their own, they're handling business. They're law enforcement. They're trying to conduct this case. They're not sitting here oh man, we need to, oh my gosh, what is Susie McGee 193 at Instagram.com going to think if we don't tell her that we found a bullet casing over here in the corner of the bathroom? We have to let them know. Then, dude, who are you? You're just a spectator on the internet, as am I. They don't owe anyone evidence except the court, the judge, the jury, and the lawyers, and those involved. That's it. Now, I do find it interesting that FBI released footage that was apparently confirmed to be altered or cut to exclude that information, because you would think, hey, we want to find out who this is. Maybe that's because it's a big conspiracy and the government's behind it. Maybe it's because they know a little bit more through other things that we don't know about, and they already have a pretty good lead on who this person is, and they don't need to put it out to the public because they don't need our help on that. And it's working to their advantage of solving the crime to not put it out there. Can we agree on that? And at the end of the day, it might not even be a woman. It could be the dang transgender lover, roommate of Tyler Robinson who helped him. they've already helped them with enough. They've already been involved enough and talked about this enough. There's my theory on that. I don't know. And I could be wrong. That's fine. I'll be wrong. I'm just, I try to look at things from a neutral scope. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let's move on to the next major story here. So yeah, seeing this woman, activist, if you want to call her, what a piece of crap, honestly. Her little hat, I don't know what that is or what it's supposed to be. The only thing that comes to mind as growing up in a preacher's family are the little peas from VeggieTale. Here's a reference photo. Little peas from VeggieTales. That's all I can think of. And so it just makes me giggle every time I see her. But as you see here, this headline says, extremely disturbing to see how evil the left wing has become. Since Charlie's death, leftists have been targeting TPUSA tables across college campuses, leaving drawings of Charlie being shot or destroying the set. So if they're not just completely destroying the set, like this person seems to be pouring liquid all over everything, every piece of information and papers and stuff that's on this table, just sabotaging it. They're just absolutely destroying it, or leaving drawings, coming up to the table and just putting down drawings and artwork, different artistic interpretations, because they're so just fancy and in tune and artsy, of Charlie Kirk being murdered. It is sickening and ridiculous, and I hope some action is taken here soon against this. But other than that, there's your updates. We have some major updates with the train stabbing of Irina by DeCarlos Brown. DeCarlos Brown Jr., if you remember that, the guy with the dreads and the red, and he stabbed this innocent white woman and later said he did it because she was white. We have some very crazy updates coming with him, if not tonight, maybe tomorrow, and even more with Carmelo Anthony and so forth. So stay tuned. A lot of content coming this weekend. And there's your quick update of what's going on right now with Charlie Kirk. Other than that, let me know what you think in the comments. What are your opinions? Everything is welcome here. I'll see you next time.